As we inch closer to kickoff, the story that I think we got to be watching the closest is Whit Weeks and Bernard Gooden and their availability. All week, Bernard Gooden has been listed as doubtful. Whit Weeks, when Brian Kelly met with reporters on Thursday, was questionable. I shared with you as we started the show today, after I saw Whit Weeks in a walking boot a day ago, started to ask around, and it certainly seems like he is more doubtful. It's almost, I hesitate to say a certainty that he won't play, but I think it is more likely that he will not play against Vanderbilt. So you're talking about not having Whit Weeks, not having Bernard Gooden, not having Gabe Relaford, and what that might mean for LSU defensively against a Vanderbilt team that's top 20 in the country in rushing offense. You know, Brian Kelly, when he met with reporters, on Thursday, was talking a little bit about this Vanderbilt offense. And Muse, I'm not sure which one it is, but he was effectively saying that facing this Vanderbilt offense is kind of like, oh, there it is. It's number 3, please. He made a comp to facing Navy. Give a listen.
The first thing I said to him is that we're playing Navy. You know, we're playing triple option. You have to do your job. If you don't do your job, they're going to rip off a big play. So, you know, this is matching our traits with our talent. Like, you can't go in there and say, I'm just going to out-talent Vanderbilt. They're going to beat you. If you go into the game and say, listen, we're going to follow our traits, our discipline, our detail, we're going to play smart, and then bring our talent, that now we're in a much better position. But if you go in there thinking, okay, you know, we've got better players, and I can argue that in some places they have better players than we do. But the point I'm making is you have to bring those traits to a team that plays so well together.
I look at this game, and hearing Brian Kelly make the comp of Vanderbilt to Navy actually was really encouraging for me. Because, remember, Brian Kelly, for more than a decade, was the coach at Notre Dame, and he had that challenge of facing Navy every year. And if you're facing a triple option offense in week 1, that's way easier than doing it in the middle of the season, because you can rep that in the offseason and prepare your team and your defense to face something it's not going to see otherwise. When it's plopped right down in the middle of the season, that's a real challenge. But Brian Kelly had a great record against Navy. And last year, when you think about the LSU defense, which was objectively not as good as this year's defense, either in talent, productivity, any of that stuff, that LSU defense in Tiger Stadium, but executed the game plan almost flawlessly against this Vanderbilt offense. And it's the same offense with Diego Pavia, Tim Beck as the coordinator, and what they're trying to do. And LSU won that game 24-17. And the things that Brian Kelly has talked about, controlling first and second down to put Vanderbilt in third and long, was the ticket. That's what LSU was able to do a year ago. Vanderbilt in that game in Tiger Stadium was just 2 of 10 on third down. This year, Vanderbilt is converting nearly 60%. They're at 58% on third down. That's number 2 in the country. So Vanderbilt, what they do offensively is pretty clear. They are really effective, averaging 7.1 yards per carry at getting into third and short. And so what happens is they're able to extend drives, possess the football, keep the opponent's defense on the field. How do you stop that? You're disciplined on first and second down. You force them into third and long to where they have to throw, and then Blake Baker can dial up his pressure. Like, that's it. I mean, that's what you do to Vanderbilt. It's easier said than done, though. That's the challenge. Vanderbilt on the season is 5-1, just like LSU. They are coming off an open date where they had suffered their first loss of the season to Alabama, had an open date, now are facing LSU. But this is a Vanderbilt team that is averaging 43 points a game, and they are 36 in scoring defense at 19 points per game. So you're talking about a team that's been balanced, but they scored 45 against Charleston Southern. They scored 44 against Virginia Tech. They scored 31 at South Carolina. when Sellers wasn't playing in the second half. They put up 70 on Georgia State, 55 on Utah State, and then they went on the road and played Alabama and scored 14. Now, we know they had red zone turnovers in that game. So sometimes a result can look differently, as we saw last week with LSU and South Carolina, when you don't protect the football. And that's what's happened that's what happened with Vanderbilt against Alabama. Diego Pavia fumbled inside the 10. He threw an interception in the red zone. Those two scoring opportunities that would have made that either a one-score game or had Vanderbilt in the lead. And, of course, the final margin, because it was 23-14, it was a 9-point game. And then Jam Miller ripped off the long run as they were running out the clock to make it 30-14. But it was a closer ball game certainly than that. But Vanderbilt's red zone turnovers cost them, just like LSU's a week ago. They played a 20-10 game against South Carolina, but you fumbled at the 1. Nuss threw an interception at the goal line. He threw another interception at the 26-yard line. I mean, those are 3 scoring opportunities where if you convert those scoring opportunities, you probably win that game 34-37 to 10. You blow them out, and everybody's a very different feel. Offensively for LSU, I do think that this is a pretty, again, easy game to handicap and explain what the target is going to be, or the approach is going to be for LSU. You got to be balanced. There was on Brian Kelly's radio show, he discussed this on Thursday night. When LSU running backs have 10 carries in the game, his teams are 25. Can you play that one, Muse? This is Brian Kelly on his radio show.
25-5 over the 46 games that I've been the head coach. 25-5 versus 9-7 when a tailback carries the ball 10 times or more. When the tailback carries the ball 10 times or more, you're 25-5. So this is not rocket science. I mean, this means that you have to have a running game that allows you to open things up for our quarterback. If you don't, then it's tough sledding because they're going to drop 8. They're going to play coverage that's soft over the top, and they're going to make you go 13 plays without making a mistake. And you've seen us play. We're mistake prone, and we have to eliminate that. And so it starts with a really good running game, and it starts with the ability to get off the ball.
So, Brian Kelly is telling you that statistic. That's not a media creation. That's not a fan asking a question. That's Brian Kelly knowing that data. You don't think he shared that number with Joe Sloan, that they're 25-5 when a running back carries the ball 10 times? Like, it is the answer to the test. It's something we talked about ad nauseum after the Ole Miss game because it was so stunning to see where LSU tailbacks had 2 carries in the first half. One was a draw on 3rd and 20. There were 2 instances the entire game where they handed the ball off where they had a running play on consecutive downs. There has to be at least a commitment to trying to run the football, to make a defense respect your opportunity to run the football, which will create opportunities in the back end for LSU in the passing game. Listen, I know that this is an LSU offense that candidly and frankly and honestly just hasn't been good. They were efficient in getting off to their 4-0 start. Nussmeier protected the football, and they did what they had to do to win the games with a quarterback that was limited, an offensive line that was young, and all those things. But you're at the halfway point of the season, and you are 84th in the country in scoring offense. You're averaging 26 points a game. And obviously that's offset by, or buoyed by, 56 points against Southeastern Louisiana. So whenever you look at games against FBS teams, your high water mark is 23 against Louisiana Tech. So you have got to prove that you can score before people are going to predict you to score. So I'm not going to predict LSU to go out and have this monster offensive day. Vanderbilt defensively, especially in their front seven, is good. On the back end, they're not. That is, Ty Simpson threw for 340 against them because Alabama showed a commitment to running the football. They won time of possession by full quarter, by 15 minutes. And it created space for their talented receivers to get open. And Ty Simpson was efficient and threw the football, and that's how Alabama moved the football against Vanderbilt. That is the blueprint. It's exactly what you did a year ago to Vanderbilt. You won time of possession by a dozen minutes. You threw the football. You showed a commitment to balance. You possessed it. You kept Diego Pavia on the sideline. You kept them in third and long, which is why they only converted on 2 of 10. And you won that game 24-17. I think the blueprint and the way this game plays out are exactly the same. I know a lot of people are spooked by this point spread. I don't blame you. I mean, it's jarring to look and say Vanderbilt's favored against a top 10 team for the first time since 1977 or 78, whatever it is. First time they've been favored over LSU since 1948, whatever. Like, the bottom line is, a week ago, the look-ahead line was LSU 3 on the road, which means if that game was in Tiger Stadium, it would have been LSU by 7 or 8, probably. So, it is a road game, but your lack of scoring last week against South Carolina is why the line opened where it did, and it went up to 2.5. It snapped back down to 1.5, and I'll be interested to see what it does if we creep closer to kickoff. But ultimately, LSU's a better team. They're a more talented team. They have a great defense, and I think that defense travels. Even if they're down weeks in Gooden, I think they're plenty good enough to keep this game in reach. And I think LSU's offense did start to find a commitment to running the football a week ago that will carry over this week, as you just heard from Brian Kelly with that 25-5 stat, and that will open up plays in the pass game for a healthier Garrett Nussmeier that allows LSU to win this game. I'm picking it the exact same score of a year ago. I think it's 24-17. I'm picking the identical score, but I think the Tigers do in fact get the win against Vanderbilt and sets up a massive showdown in Tiger Stadium next week, and I could not be more excited for it. Just like
hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.